Yes. Okay. So, hello, everybody. This is Hannah Legree. I am running for 3rd District City Council in Lexington, Kentucky. And I am here on our Tuesday night chat series with a new guest. So, I want to begin by thanking you all for tuning in. And thank you to our guest, Carmen Wampler-Collins, for being here today. Carmen is here to represent Pride Community Services Organization, and we are going to be talking about a wide range of topics in relation to the LGBTQ community and PCSO, which is how we'll refer to Pride Community Services Organization in today's conversation. We'll talk about their services and the outreach they do in the community. And we want to make sure that if you have questions related to the issues that we're discussing, that you send them in so that we can answer them. And we encourage you to engage and to ask questions and share information. So thank you for your engagement, and thank you, Carmen, for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. So Carmen, I want to make sure that we give space for you to introduce yourself. Go ahead.
Okay. So I am here. I am the Executive Director of Pride Community Services Organization, or the PCSO. And I have been with them up until late last year. I was there as an office manager, which I did as a part-time job to sort of supplement my work. I freelanced as a fundraiser, grant writer, and development consultant for nonprofits. And so that's my background, is working sort of in the affordable housing nonprofit world. I've done that for years and worked at Frontier Housing and developed programs there, and then sort of eventually went off of my own to work with other nonprofits around development and fundraising. So. Yeah, and I first got involved with the PCSO as actually a user when I moved to Kentucky and was looking at staying long term. And there was an LGBTQ parenting group through the PCSO, and we met friends there who actually convinced my wife and I to move to Lexington. So they were instrumental.
And here you are.
Years over the years, yeah, and started getting more involved in LGBTQ organizing, and here I am. Yeah.
Great. Well, welcome. And I want to make sure to share that these are community-based conversations about issues that are important in the 3rd District. It's not an endorsement, but it's a conversation that's very important to our community when we're talking about LGBTQ initiatives. And, you know, that moves us into our conversation. Quite a few people have an interest in mutual aid and supporting one another during this time in particular. And this idea that we're all connected. And a lot of the work that you're doing with PCSO, with the LGBTQ community, is about raising awareness and creating connections with that group and with our greater Lexington and Central Kentucky community. So I am wondering, can you share a little bit more about your mission? Because I know you all do so much.
I really do. Yeah. So in a nutshell, our mission is really to improve the lives of LGBTQ folks in Central and Eastern Kentucky. We do that in several ways, by, enhancing people's lives, empowering them to find their own voices, and then educating folks and the community around LGBTQ issues. And really our overall vision is to create spaces where every LGBTQ Kentuckian is celebrated and supported. So not just accepted, but truly where folks belong, and whether that's in their own homes or, out in public at doctors' offices, at the Pride Festival. It's just kind of creating environments where all of us can find our place to belong in Kentucky. Yeah. And we do that in a lot of different ways. So everything from, we run the PCSO Pride Center. We're on 389 Waller Avenue. And when we're not shut down for a pandemic, we have open office hours there from 1 to 6, Tuesday through Friday, and 11 to 4 on Saturday. And during those times, people can drop in and use the center. We have free Wi-Fi. We have access to free computers. We have free food and drinks. We have a 2,000 title LGBTQ lending library that folks can come in and take advantage of. Yeah. And then we have, myself and then usually volunteers. We also have a Vista AmeriCorps, Grace and Connor. And so we are happy to answer questions, help people find resources. We have an internally curated list of resources. Folks are looking for doctors, attorneys, they need LGBTQ affirming churches or religious spaces. So whatever the need is, we try to meet it. And while we're not therapists, we're happy to listen to folks if you're just coming out or if you just need, parents of kids. We see a lot of that. So we help connect people to other resources in the community. And so those are our drop-in hours. And then on evenings, we have actually a range of I think it's about 8 groups now, and that number grows and, depending on what people are interested in. So we have everything from a sci-fi and horror group for LGBTQ folks to a Pride book club to our Gender and Sexuality Alliance for teenagers that meets weekly to a General Heart to Heart, which is our general support group. And Lovable is a group for LGBTQ folks with chronic illnesses and disabilities. Then we have Trans Kentucky, which meets monthly for trans and gender nonconforming people, and our SIP dinner, which is it's hosted by and focused on folks who are over 50, but it's actually a great intergenerational dinner where people from age 17 to in their 80s come to just socialize and have a meal together. So those are our regular groups. And then some of the other things we do are we produce the Link, which is a monthly magazine focused on the LGBTQ community. And annually we produce the Bluegrass Pink pages listing LGBTQ affirming businesses and organizations in the area. And finally, what we're most well known for, I think, is producing the Lexington Pride Festival. So we're actually while it's a community-wide event, we're the organization responsible for making that happen.
Wow. Okay. So we have so much to talk about because we all do so many things in the community. So let me start with, we were talking about, when you're open, right? You have all of these groups that meet, you have this space. What are you all doing right now? How can people stay connected to PCSO? What ways are people still connecting to one another with the groups? How are you changing what you're doing? So
we kind of had to focus because we can't have people meeting live. And so one of the things, and I actually didn't mention this because this is relatively new over the last year, is we have formalized in a partnership with God's Pantry Food Bank. So we actually have a food pantry where folks, when we're open, we get deliveries from different restaurants and people can come in when they want and take the food that they need. So one of the things that was most important to us during this, because we knew the need was increasing as people lost jobs, was to keep our pantry, figure out how to do that. So to make it keep running, we've kind of narrowed it down to 1 day a week, and we pre-package boxes for folks. In this time, we've seen double the number of folks coming to us weekly who need food. But that's been really great to work with God's Pantry and to work with, the community's been really great about bringing in food donations and cash donations so we can supplement what we're getting. And we have our team, Blake, who is an intern with the UK School of Social Work, and Grayson and I, and we come in and kind of bring all the food together, put it in boxes, and maintain a list of folks, and then people can pick up between 3 and 5 every Wednesday. So all you need to do to get on that list is call us at 859-253-3233, or you can email officemanager@pcsok.org. So that's all people need to do. We will ask for names and contact information. We may ask for family side and food preferences. And you just need to let us know every week if you want to be on the list or off. And so that's sort of streamlined it. So we can't give people as much choice, but at least we're getting food to people. And right now, since we have a really small window of time, we are also making deliveries on Wednesday evening for people who can't get the bus out to us or can't get to us during that really narrow window. So that's a big deal. So we focused on that. And the other thing that is our really big priority is we have a list of folks we just call. And you can also, email or call us if you just want to check-in call occasionally, and we can text you, we can call you, we can email, just if you want someone to talk about how things are going, you want to know you're not alone out here. We're all going through this, and to try to kind of keep people connected. And then the third way we've really tried to stay present, it's more of a struggle than the other two, is converting our groups to a virtual format. So the issue with that, a lot of what we do is volunteer run. And so the moderators of a lot of these groups are volunteers. And I know our regular Wednesday night, he's a frontline worker, and just maintaining, a virtual group just was not something that was in his capacity right now. So we're trying to find ways to do that. I think coming up, we're going to make some announcements about general meetings for the whole LGBTQ community that we'll be putting together with some other leaders, not just from the PCSO, but, some other folks who can kind of talk to folks about what's going on out here and how we can stay connected. So those are some of the things that we're doing.
You all are still doing quite a bit, and it sounds like with a small staff, you're serving a lot of needs within the community.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned people could donate. So if people have, if they have the ability to give funds, they can give funds.
Absolutely. Yeah. And like a lot of other small businesses and nonprofits, we don't know what's going to happen right now. And so for us, we're a really, really small nonprofit. I'm really the only paid staff member, and and most people don't know this, but the Lexington Pride Festival is what supports our organization, more or less. We've been broadening our financial resources, and this is my first year as an executive director, so we really hope to do that. But we had to move the Lexington Pride Festival, and we don't know what's going to happen. We're planning on going forward with it in early October, but like everyone else, we're waiting to see what happens. We're going ahead with planning. So yes, donations are appreciated. The best way to donate is through our website. It's donate.pcsoky.org. And you can also specify, no, it's really important to some folks to keep our food pantry going, and that's an immediate need. And if folks want to donate for that, you just need to make a note that it's for the food pantry.
Talk to me a little bit more about the Pride Festival. So we know it generally happens in the summer, but now it's moved to October. Tell us the plan at this point.
Sure. Okay. So it's, the Pride Festival is a really important event for a lot of reasons, and not just for people in Lexington, but for all over the state and out of the state. For people to come together in the LGBTQ community and really to be able to be who they are, and to celebrate together, and to celebrate our identities in public, in our community, supported by the community. It's a really, really important event. And normally we have it in June because it's the history of the Stonewall riots. That's why we hold it there, and we've never really wanted to move it. But people have asked us because of the heat, and so because of the coronavirus, we're going to try that this year. So we've had a lot of good response to that. But it's the same is true for Pride festivals, all over the world actually have had to postpone from June. So we're not alone, and we know that. We are going to be a part of, there is an organization called Interpride that we're a part of, and they are holding the first Global Pride Day. That will be on Global Virtual Pride will be on June 27th this year, and we're going to participate in that. We're not sure, we don't have the details worked out, but more information will be coming. So we do want to let people know, as I know a lot of people are disappointed, that we're not just going to let Pride Month go without doing anything. We may not be able to be together in the ways that we have been in the past, but we absolutely plan to recognize what an important month and day that is for us. And then hopefully, we'll be able to do some lead up and have the big event and come together in October. Yeah. So, and Pride is amazing. It's really,
it is amazing.
While we produce it, it's a huge community event. So every organization that has anything to do with the LGBTQ community is there doing a part of it. And groups that are not, just good organizations, businesses in the community. Really, even in the past 3 years that I've been with the PCSO, we see more and more people who just want to come and be a part of it because it's such a great event. And they want to show their support, and they want to, be there for the LGBTQ community. So it takes, like I said, I'm the only paid staff person, and Pride's just a small part of my job. So it's really volunteer run. It is, a team of the Pride committee. They do it all from, it's just a passion project. These people come out, like we sit at a table with 15 to 20 people who don't get paid at all to make this happen. You know, on the day of Pride, it comes down to, last year was our first 2-day festival, and the end of the night, the second night, I mean, I think there were 5 people on the grounds cleaning up. So we really, there's a lot of opportunity if people want to be involved. It's truly a community event, and we'd love to have folks volunteer. We'll be having signups for that as we get closer. So.
Okay, great. You know, I think that's an important part to highlight, that it is a volunteer run event, and now it's a 2-day event.
It is a 2-day event. Yeah. Yeah. We did that for the 50th anniversary of Stonewall last year, which is a great time to do it. And people really loved it. You know, having a Friday night and evening, it was just really a little more low key. And we really want to continue to do that.
And in terms of finances, just so that people have a sense of how Pride works, I've been there as a participant and as a volunteer at a booth. And so with Pride, you all put it all on, and it's a fundraiser for you. But then with the city, do you pay for the city space?
We do. It is not inexpensive. I mean, so we just looked at our first estimate just for police services will be over $12,000, and that's just one aspect of it. We pay for street and roads, we pay for the space, we pay for electricians, we pay, all of these basic infrastructure things that go into it, for entertainment, the staging, all of that. And so what's a little different about us from other Pride festivals, we are completely a nonprofit, and the festival runs the center all year long. So every year we put some seed money of a few $1,000s, but we raise that money again every year for the festival. So we start, more or less from scratch, a little bit to get us started, and then all of that fundraising, and we're supported by a great community. The sponsors, have been fabulous, and vendors, pay those, and that helps us pay for the festival. And then when folks come out and buy merchandise, buy drinks, that goes back to us. So
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that helps give a bigger picture of all of the costs that go into producing this spectacular event, and then what it looks like for you all to raise that money too.
Yeah. It is truly miraculous that that it is a group of volunteers who makes it happen, and they do such a good job. I can't say enough about the people who dedicate their time and work. It's like a second full-time job for a lot of people who just really love doing the work and want to be involved in it.
Yeah, and like you said, it's a space where people from all over the state come together to feel seen and to celebrate and to connect. And that's
it's a really great time. It's a wonderful time, and we've been trying to make it more accessible and more inclusive. One of the big pieces of news, which maybe some people will like and some people won't, is we are going to go to being a completely non-smoking event this year. We tried to do designated smoking areas, but this year, as we move toward a more accessible event, that was one of the things that was important to us, and so people with different chronic illnesses and that kind of thing could be comfortable to be there. So
makes sense. Yeah, and then less litter also.
Less litter, easier cleanup, healthier,
lots of benefits.
Lots of benefits. Yeah.
So, okay, this is this great background on Pride and all of the work that you all are doing. I am wondering, I had a question that I want to come back to about Link. Are you all still able to publish? I mean, so I always pick up my copy of Link at the Lexington Public Library, and now that the library is not open, people get a copy of that resource.
You're figuring this out as we go, like everybody else, but our dear board member Chris Bauer is the editor of Link, and Tuesday Meadows really does most of the planning and advertising, and they have been determined to keep it going. So they switched really quickly for the April issue to get an issue out about the coronavirus. We printed less, but we do have copies, and if anybody wants a copy right now, while we can't distribute to public locations, we'll mail you a copy for free. So just email us again, officemanager@pcsok.org, and you can make a donation. We'll always take donations, but we aren't, we'll send it to you for free. The other places people can get that, we have a Link by PCSO Facebook page, and you can get on there and find a link to read the magazine online. It's published on Issue. So there's the full online issue that you can see, but we will mail it for now. and hopefully we'll be able to get out and distribute it to area businesses again soon. But we are still publishing. Yeah, we're going forward with the May issue. Yeah.
That's great to know. It's a great magazine and so many
Thank
good
you.
resources.
Yeah, I think they did a really great job, just in the middle of they had already had, stories written and ready to be published, and they were just like, oh, we're gonna switch this. Did a whole new cover, and yeah, so it's great. And I think it's really important. One of the things they've said is, Tuesday and Chris both, and I think this is true, it's really important to document what's going on with our community during this time. So
yeah, that makes sense. And to share resources across the community in that process in real time, that's an impressive pivot. So I am wondering, I want to make sure if people have questions out there that they send them in. I think someone did ask a question about my bike in the background. Yeah, that is my bicycle. It is always there. It's not just there for this show. I do support bike and ped initiatives, but this is actually a part of my decor and practice, not just for a prop. So that was one of the questions we've had, but I want to make sure that if people send questions in, that we get to them. So please send your questions along. And I know that some people have already shared resources in the comments, which is great. And we'll share more of the resources, Carmen, that you've presented verbally in the comments too, and links to what you've discussed in terms of getting in touch and your Facebook page. I'm wondering, as we're wrapping up our conversation, if there are any other initiatives or issues you want to highlight or you want to share with people.
Sure. I think it's really important that people know, when it comes to coronavirus, we are serving populations that are at more risk for a lot of reasons. And I know Lexington Fairness signed on with a national letter with organizations all over the country to bring that to the attention of lawmakers, so that LGBTQ people have access to the same assistance and resources that we are sometimes left out of. Or, one of the big concerns in our community, a lot of LGBTQ folks, and especially trans folks, do not have access to medical resources. There are not trans-affirming medical care. And so making sure that, as assistance happens, we make sure that places are learning to be affirming and to reach out to the LGBTQ community, to reach out to LGBTQ organizations to make sure you are serving our populations. And some of the reasons, we have higher rates of cancer, we have higher rates of folks living with HIV, higher rates of smoking. All of those are risk factors, that risk for more complications with the coronavirus. So it's important that people know that, and that we're out here trying to serve those folks and make sure they have the care and access to resources that they need. We did put together a resource guide on our website. So it's a new page on our website that folks can go to. It has a link to, a list of what LGBTQ people need to know in the age of the coronavirus, and some good resources there. One of the other things that's really important to mention, the isolation that comes from not being able to get out and connect can be really detrimental for LGBTQ folks. Oftentimes kids may be stuck at home with families who are not supportive, and so they've lost their support group or their weekly support group. So there are a lot of good resources, chat rooms, things like that out there, and ways to connect, and we want to make sure that information gets out to people. The same with our older folks. A lot of LGBTQ older folks are isolated, so it's real important to reach out and make those connections and make sure people are getting what they need.
And along those lines, I know that we've had a question about, what about kids, LGBTQ kids who are now home from school, and they may or may not be in supportive environments at home. Are there any resources for them? Are there any recommendations?
It's a struggle because, part of that, there are QChatspace.org is an amazing resource for teens, for youth, and those are all moderated forums, so there are trained LGBTQ youth leaders. It's not just open chat, they're usually around topics, and they have responsible adults participating in those. What we would say to kids is, be careful, like if you're at home and someone's not going to be supportive, it brings up those risk factors. And that's one of the things we've been looking at with our youth group. We really have folks who our leaders want to continue that, but finding ways to do that in a private way, so we're not hurting kids more, but they are out there. The Trevor hotline, the Trevor Project has a hotline. and their calls have more than doubled since the coronavirus, pandemic started. So those are a couple places so that kids can reach out, and they can call us too. I mean, we're happy to talk to someone. I would say make sure you're in a safe as you can be space, but we're here. We're still out here providing support, just not in the normal ways that we do.
These are great resources. Yeah, because for kids, they need to connect to their peers, but also to LGBTQ resources in our community. And it's good for them to know about this, or for families to know.
Absolutely.
People of all ages.
Yeah, and then on the other side of that, another great resource we have, and we have a branch that's, sorry about that, that's just it's kind of getting on its feet in the Bluegrass is SAGE. So we have a SAGE of the Bluegrass, and that is focused on elders in the LGBTQ community. And SAGE also has a hotline. I don't have the number, but that should also be on our webpage, and they will talk to anyone, elders in the LGBTQ community who just need connection or support.
All right, great. I've written all of this down, and we'll make sure to share it. And we have one, as we're wrapping up, and this may be a multifaceted answer, but we have one more question, and it's about how do you think the city could better support Pride? Are there ways in the city?
Yeah, and we're working with city. We're having conversations. Definitely, I'll just put it on the table. If there are a way to lessen the fees, that would be phenomenal, or a way that we didn't have to pay as much. But I also understand. I know with the coronavirus, the city's budget is really high, and that's no joke with layoffs and businesses closed. But anything, volunteers would be helpful. I mean, besides finances, I mean, the single thing we need, literally, like if we had a team of people who could come in at night and help us shut it down on the last night, that's when we need people the most. Just boots on the ground, we say. It always comes down to boots on the ground. And so if people want to volunteer or get the word out to folks, that would be super helpful. And the city is supportive. The mayor is always there. Opening day, Linda Gordon's administration has been very supportive. But yeah, recognizing that for us, those costs are really high, and to keep the center running and, to pay for our services all year long is what our goal is.
Great. And actually, someone has submitted a question to me along those lines that is connected to the city and some of the ideas that you've laid out, Carmen. So a question that has been posed is, if elected, what would I do to support Pride Community Services Organization?
Good question.
Yeah. So I think that there are multiple ways to support PCSO. I think one easy part is about visibility and sharing information, and also making sure that people understand that this is a fundraiser and that we need multiple forms of support for PCSO from the city.
Absolutely.
The ways that the city can provide those forms of support can vary based on the circumstance, but I think it's very important that at a city level we focus on inclusivity and in sharing information, transparency, and being advocates and connectors.
Great.
And so I will do everything that I can in my capacity to advocate for LGBTQ initiative, PCSO being a part of that at a city level, and then in terms of the government, and then at a wider LFUCG level with all the constituents we serve. So that's a big part of my platform, personally.
Yeah, that's great. I do want to mention we are part of the mayor's work group. The Human Rights Campaign does the Municipal Equality Index. And so I know the city is invested in bringing that number up. We are really happy. Our board president and I are both on that working committee. And, our goal is to not just get the number up, but to make that real in the community, so that it isn't just a rating, but it's actually borne out in services to folks in the community. And I know some of the things I get really excited about are, banning conversion therapy, and Tanner Mobley has pushed that movement in Kentucky and on a state level, and that's a lot of good work. But if Lexington ever got to the point, and I know there's work to be done there, but it would be amazing if at least citywide that were a possibility.
Agreed. I know, getting it up to, getting the score up to 100 and then putting that 100 into practice all across.
Absolutely. And supporting, the groups, not just us, not just the PCSO, but we work with partners, Bluegrass Black Pride, Kentucky Black Pride, AVOL, PFLAG, there's the Imperial Court of Kentucky. I mean, there's just a whole group of folks who are out here, serving the LGBTQ community, and for the city to really look at how we are doing that and to support those programs would be fabulous. Yeah.
I agree. Well, Carmen, thank you so much for sharing resources and for joining us today. And thank you to everyone who submitted questions and who submitted resources and comments, for tuning in. And I hope that people will share this with others in their network, because Carmen shared so many amazing resources that I think will be useful to many, many people. And obviously PCSO is doing fantastic work now and in general. So
thanks so much
for being here.
Yeah, that's great.